I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Harbor Shellfish Advisory Board. As far as I know, we're being recorded now. On here, there we go. And anybody from the public or staff speaking, I guess it'd be best to come up and speak into the microphone. I'd like to start the meeting in honor of David Goodman with a quick moment of silence. Do we have an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Draft minutes, December 19th. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? Changes, motions?
Oh, I thought you were doing them.
Starting with December 19th. Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
February 6th.
Bottom of the third page. Right after my name, I should probably say stated. Verb missing. Just grammatical.
So noted, Mr. Brace.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, change that. Move approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. At the last meeting, we did talk a bit about the petrol landing and if there's a possibility that a boat ramp could be created there. And as we all know, if you've kept up to date with current events, it's being held up in litigation. We'll move right forward unless somebody has a comment. Any further on that?
Did you speak with Sparrow?
I have not yet,
Okay.
no. Anybody else? Marine Department report. Sheila, please.
Okay, this last storm, we experienced a ton of damage, like very substantial damage. The floating dock was broken in 8 places. There's pilings and stuff like that we're going to need to replace. So in Jackson's Point, we lost both the floats that are out there. At F Street, both the floats that are there. We have to just damage at Children's Beach. And that sand blew out into the mooring field, so some of those moorings are going to be compromised. The entrance to Pocus Harbor got completely shoaled over, so we're not sure about access into there. So we've got significant damage that we need to work on. In light of that, I guess this eco-friendly mooring project just got to Libby's desk today or earlier this week, yesterday I guess, and she sent me some questions. We're not going to be able to do that project this year in light of everything that just happened over this past storm. We need to focus our attention on getting the pier rebuilt, relocating the people that aren't gonna be able to use their moorings in certain places. And we just, you know, it was aggressive to think we were gonna get it in this year, but if everything was okay, we could have aggressively pursued it and met with these handlers and stuff like that and tried to get it in place, but there's absolutely no way. I mean, we have so much work in front of us right now, there's just absolutely no way that we can do this project this year. So my recommendation is to postpone it with continuing to do the research and to have everything in place to get it going for next summer. Because the questions that I got from Libby were, I guess there's something in there that says that town funds are going to help people buy new moorings. We can't use town funds for that. So I don't know where that came into play, but I don't know if it was Jeff Carlson maybe mentioned a grant, but it certainly can't come out of town funds. And there was just other questions about what we're going to do if the people in the mooring field don't want to participate. So we're going to have to change some regulations and some policy on that. So that's all stuff that we need to work on. And like I said, if we didn't have all this damage that just happened, we probably could have made it happen. You know, this would have probably been our main focus, this and buoys. But right now, we're out straight. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and one other full-time employee. So we're out straight. I'm calling people in. I'm trying to find seasonal people to come and help and stuff like that. But it's...
You call me. Yeah, I need some work.
So I feel really bad about it, but it's something had to go, and we weren't quite ready yet. Anyways, you know, we hadn't identified the exact system and everything that we wanted to use, but from now till opening, I don't even know if we're going to be able to open on time.
Can you elaborate on the sand at Children's Beach?
Yeah, it just from that direction, the wind just blew straight up, and then they were pumping water off to to stop the flooding in the streets, and everything got relocated. I don't know if you've gone down there, but you should take a look at it and you can see. So I anticipate the first couple rows of moorings, I'm going to have to relocate those people. The other thing is to look at is the eelgrass that's in front of the marine department is probably 3 feet deep right now, like in halfway down the pier.
On the beach?
On the beach,
okay.
And halfway down the pier.
Wow.
So
In the shallows?
yeah, and Katie, well, on top of the pier.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've been shoveling that up, but we're probably going to have to get a dumpster. I'm not going to do anything until after Monday, because we're having tomorrow's forecasted gusts to 60 from the east, which would push it in the exact same direction, and then Monday another one. So who knows what'll be left of what. But the damage to the floating dock is as severe, if not more, than it was in 2014. The standing pier did very well. We sprung some planks, that's nothing. And with some of the batter boards at the very end of it, some 10 by 10s and the wave fencing did too. We've got a long road ahead of us to try to figure out what we're going to do.
Were there any vessels tied up at the pier during the storm?
No, I put out a broadcast notice to mariners closing the pier to vessel, foot, and dinghy traffic. So we have not had anybody tied there, but contacted all the scallopers, told them that they're more than welcome to tie up on the fixed pier, but they cannot tie that floater because insurance-wise we can't handle it. We do have some engineers coming next week from GZA to come down and evaluate it. We'll go from there. We lost one finger completely. Another one is half sunk, and I think there's 10 floats going down, and 8 of the 10 are just snapped in half. The backs broke on all.
I saw some floating docks tied up at Strait Wharf. Did you bring some into the boat basin?
No. Those are from, those are theirs. They just tie up in there. They go on the other side of where the launch goes.
Okay. Since Mr. Franzuto's retirement, who would we get an update from on maintenance dredging? Lieutenant Gibson?
Yeah, I can talk to him and get that from you, before you, to see what the focus project is. I know right now we're in trouble there, just because that one just sanded it all over.
Same thing with Pocomo. Pocomo got nubbed right over. It looks like a backwards P.
It's gonna be interesting. But some stuff for us to work on for this mooring project is like some regulations to say, like, what do we do with people that don't want to participate in the program? I thought it was as easy as telling them, they had to move out of that area, but people above me said it's not quite that easy. We have to have something in writing to make that happen. So we can work on that. We can still work on getting providers and sources of supply to buy them. We can still work on all that type of stuff, but I just can't cram it all into these months when we're trying to get everything open.
Well, it's been my impression that it's been a work in progress anyway, and there's more information to be gathered, and also it would be nice to have possibly a presentation from a dealer or a manufacturer, and also some better communication with the mooring handlers would certainly be nice. So I'm not expecting miracles by any means, Sheila, and perfectly understandable that your plate is full with storm damage now. So.
Yeah, like I said, I was trying as hard as I could to make it be ready for this season, and until this just happened, priorities had to change, for the good of everybody. But I promise that it's not going to go away. I promise it is something that we're interested in doing. We want to do. We want to help. We want to do our part. There's a lot of interest in it. There's a lot of people, generate a lot of interest in it. But just, I guess, in the letter that Libby got, it said for the 2018 season. And I just don't think that that's a reality. Maybe towards the end of the season,
If you happen to meet with Lieutenant Gibson, will you pass on to him the sand sloughing out into Children's Beach?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if he doesn't know already.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
And I just want to take a look and see what happens after these next couple storms. And then I'll update you there and see.
I did see the pumps working there. I came in Sunday on the noon boat and saw quite a washout in the middle of the beach, and it looked
Yeah, and I think
odd.
that all went into the mooring field. So I think this next storm, we're going to try to run it down the ramp, so it won't be washing sand out, it'll just be on that cement.
What about the entrance to the harbor and the cut? Does anybody, any issues there?
No, the Coast Guard's been out there, they said that looks fine. Nobody's gone from the cut, that would be interesting. the entrance, the federal channels.
And I hadn't been out to Nantucket. I did see the photos online about the Emery House, and but Smith's Point didn't break off.
No, what was crazy there was the creeks loaded got so full that it almost breached next to the Emery House coming from the north. It was wild. Like the creek was cruising down that way, and it was all covered with water up to the Emery House coming from the north, and then the waves were meeting it on the south shore. And there's like a lot of damage to sconce it. There's a lot in it.
And I walked out on Parkmo Point this morning. I walked west side first, and there's a lot of slumping there. Yeah. Not that's our purview, but then going the other way, there's lots of damage to that installation and beach stairs. And then on Facebook, I saw a posting of somebody's boathouse in Pulpus Harbor and a catamaran bumping up against that. Did you get any calls for that?
Yeah, we did. But
just wondering.
You know what I was supposed to do about it, but going 90 when the guy called, so I was like, no. It's between him and the boat owner.
Yeah.
But that boat moved. The wind dragged it away. Yeah.
Questions and comments from the board for Sheila? Matt, if you have a question, can you wait till public? Thank you. Anything else, Sheila? Thank you so much. Tara, Natural Resources.
Sure. We did not have a lot of damage at the boathouse. The only issues that we had was it was entirely flooded on Easton Street and Holbrook Ave, and also around Brant Point. The tide came up really high and just kind of encircled the hatchery. So we weren't able to get there obviously during the storm, and we had to set up a remote office at the town building to work out of there. But we lost power for a little while, but everything was okay. I haven't heard of any strandings that occurred during the storm. I don't know if you guys have heard of anything, but I haven't gotten any phone calls. And we just lost a few boards from the dock, but really that's kind of it. We lost some shingles and had a few roof leaks, but nothing that was major. I don't know if you guys saw, but the DMF sent a shellfish closure update yesterday on March 5th, just saying that they weren't going to reopen just due to the pending storms that were coming up tomorrow and then again on Monday. So it's unlikely that it will be open for at least a week.
Which shellfish in particular?
This one was for, it says everything. No, I think it's just everything without the adductor mussel. So I think scallops probably will be open if the weather is favorable to go. And then let's see. Good news, we received the state funding from the state of Massachusetts for $58,000 for the propagation fund. So we had the senator and the state representative come and present us with a check, and members of NSA came and took pictures and all of that good stuff. We have a dock project slated for this year where we are outfitting the dock with 7 tanks that are they're upwelling and downwelling tanks. They're conversion tanks, so really they're just what you use to grow out shellfish further before you do stock enhancement. So it's just a step in between the hatchery and going out into the field. So it's going to allow us to increase our production. So those tanks are coming in May, and we're putting in electrical in the dock to service those tanks as well. Currently, we are advertising for full-time hatchery tech. This is is the third time we're going through the rounds of interviews. We've had a hard time finding a good candidate to fill the job, but this posting closes on March 16th, so we're hoping that we'll find somebody for this season. We're also advertising for our 2 seasonal positions in the hatchery. And then finally, I wanted to thank you guys for the support letters for the 2 projects we have going on, hopefully in 2019, for the H-Box with Woods Hole and the imaging closed site of bot as well. I really appreciate your support in getting those letters out quickly so that we can make all the deadlines. Thank you for that.
You're certainly welcome. Thank you, Tara, for submitting that, putting together the grant proposal that you did. The hatchery tech that you're looking for, is there specific educational requirements?
The full-time position, yes, there is. I think it's a minimum of a bachelor's degree and 5 years experience within the aquaculture or hatchery field. We were looking for someone really specific, so that kind of narrowed it down a lot. But we did have some really good candidates. The biggest problem that we've encountered are people don't want to move to Nantucket. So.
I mean, we're well aware of your being short-handed with staff there, and just at last night's Shellfish Association meeting, Leah presented a proposal to the association and mentioned we were interested there in hearing some water quality testing reports, and she had mentioned how Caitlin is straight out with that. This tech that you're looking for, would that tech fit a number of roles, possibly, aside from just being in the hatchery, also assist Caitlin possibly, or also Leah? Can you explain a little, elaborate on that?
The hatchery technician, we have, the way we have it set up is that person would be full-time in the hatchery. Just with all the production with the algae and the shellfish, and now that it's a year-round facility, we really need someone full-time in there helping with that. Leah has kind of been extended to the new dock project and doing the shellfish grow out and field work, so she's not available inside, so we're looking for someone to fill that role to help. Also, since it's 7 days a week once we get started.
While both you and Sheila are here, this is a little off the, topic of our agenda, but there was mention last night at the NSA meeting, because Leah is asking for a boat specific to the oyster reef and restoration project, and a comment was made that between the Marine Department and the Natural Resources that there are 9 boats. Leah had 3 boats listed that Natural Resources uses, 2 of them drawing too much water, the other one being more of a pond boat and too small to handle the totes that she wants to tote out there. But does that leave 6 boats at the Marine Department?
Yeah, actually 7.
Okay. None, I mean, does certainly the 2 of you communicate between each other, nothing close to being specific of what Leah is looking for?
I didn't know that she was really looking for.
Yeah, all right. It's like a 19-foot Carolina skiff that doesn't draw too much water and can be outfitted to suit what she's doing, but it sounds like it could be used for some other things, especially seed strandings. Sounds like it would be a really handy boat for that, the way she wants to rig it. So, thanks, Sheila. And Tara, anything else, Tara?
I think that's it, unless you have any questions.
Any updates on how the water quality is testing?
The last I heard is, when did you guys go out? They went out last week.
Last week, yeah.
They went out last week, and we haven't received the results back from that sampling. If I'm being honest, it's the DMF, and if they're not really giving a lot of information, and I'm not getting a lot of information, so that's all I have. They have said people have specific questions to call the DMF, but I'm not sure how helpful they will be.
Mr. Gullickson.
Do you have any update on the scallop season?
I don't.
I didn't see anybody out today when I was up there.
One person out
In
yesterday.
Nantucket
Nantucket.
today.
It was also mentioned at the NSA last night about what it would take to have our own water quality testing lab here. It's my understanding that equipment is extremely expensive, and my personal feelings on that would be if we're trying to get proper information out to the general public, it's better that a third party is doing the testing so that it's not thought that everything's in-house. It seems as though since the sewage spill that some other towns that have been fortunate enough to have a scallop season this year are using our disaster to their benefit, and the water quality testing we've heard of so far seems to be pretty good, and also the shellfish that have been sent off. Last we heard, just one quahog out of over 240 shellfish that have been sent off was questionable. Sounds accurate?
Yeah, I think the last testing that they took last week was just supposed to be confirmation, and we haven't gotten those results back yet. And I think with all the storm activity, we're just waiting.
Board members, questions, comments for Tara? Public questions and comments for Tara and or Sheila? Matt, please.
Just actually interested in how bad the shoaling was in Opus. Like what,
We're not quite sure yet.
but definitely it seems pretty
Yeah,
altered down there.
yeah, very much so. As soon as I can get out to get up there, I'll give you some soundings.
Just have to pick one of those new tires trying to get out.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that later. I don't have to take meeting time for that.
All right.
Is your big boat out there?
Yeah, she draws about 3 feet.
Hmm.
I'm sure she'll get out.
Yeah, I'll get a good high time,
Unless, I was picturing a huge dune across the
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. But we were offering 2.5 at Little last year, and I don't know if we can offer that this year.
Moving on to old business, eco-friendly mornings. Sheila, thank you for updating us on what you can there. Fritz is not here tonight, but if anybody else here has something they'd like to add, if not, we'll move forward.
Just like to suggest that maybe sometime during the summer, this is progressing, to identify an area, maybe just confirm whose worms are in there, and maybe be in touch with them. Assuming they're going to be back in the same place, just so we're that much further along
Yep.
next year.
Anybody else? Our goals and objectives. Anybody look those over and have any thoughts, ideas to move forward with anything in particular? If not, let's review that and we'll bring it up again. Comments, board members?
We're so close now to the election, or not that close, but as I guess I'll just reiterate what I said at the last meeting is, after the election, once we know what the board is, and that we revisit this issue and set our goals and objectives for next year. So,
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Peter. Bill, I felt like at the last meeting you were able to, you were not able to finish your presentation, it being so late, and love to hear what you have to say. If you had some more you'd like to continue with on your presentation.
Okay, well, I had 2 points of advice, I think, on commercial fishing, and one is to understand that it is almost all fisheries cycle. So they have when they're in a upcycle and fish is plentiful, whatever it is, that they're doing really well, and when they're in a down cycle, they're losing money. And in order to keep a fishery around, you usually have to be patient with the guys on the down cycles, or else they're just too easy. If they're losing money, it's too easy to be gotten rid of, And the other thing is, as I said before, I think it was resiliency. Communities need to be practice at it. They can and maintaining and keeping a fishery. I had another point too, but anyway, that's the 2 ideas I had. The biggest thing I think is just cycles take place. I think the base scallop fishery is unusual that it goes long periods without any cycles, but most fisheries cycle tremendously, so it makes it really difficult. And if you have a lot of competition for dock space or whatever.
I was saddened, Bill, to hear how the state and/or federal regulations affect you. You had quite a story about the cod and how you're limited, yet what you take on deck you have to keep. And correct me if I'm wrong, you have to buy it from the state, the extra weight that you're not allowed to keep.
Buy it from other boats, then try to turn a profit on it.
Any chance, is there anything in the works that's...
Well, it looks this year they're going to increase cod 2.5 times over this year. But I used to catch like 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50,000 pounds of cod a trip. And my whole quota for the whole year this year was 1,000 pounds. So, and right now, as far as since the cod father has been put out of business, there's like, in 1995, they started limited entry. And as far as active boats with federal permits fishing in, from Mexico to Canada, there's only 1% of the boats left from 95 are active. So that tells you right there that it's not good. I'm just really struggling. I've gone like 12 months and I haven't been able to dig myself out. I've got to do something or I'm going to lose my house. So I've really tried. It's just, the rules as such, it's just impossible to make ends meet. I mean, I've had the last 2 trips I've been able to at least cover my expenses, and that's been a first. I made a little bit of money, but I was also we settle up the same way they do whaling. It's a share system. It's like a system that's like 500 years old and was started in, probably the Vikings that started it in their excursions. But and there's a set amount, and you have expenses that come up. You get X amount of money that the trip generates, and then you deduct your expenses from that, and then it usually gets divided up between the boat owner and the crew, and then they share each, depending on how it's done. The whalings did it by like 1/100th of one whatever. We do it by percentage, but it's exactly the same process. And you know, I've just begun to catch a few lobsters, and that's really helped me. But before that, I just was struggling. You know, it's not just me either. I know that, like in January, my sector manager shut me down and said I couldn't go fishing until I paid my quota off, which cost me $16,000. That's not. I've been paying on quota too, but that's what I wasn't able to pay. Just to give you an idea how much the fish is costing me. And I was I think there's 8 guys fishing in the 2 sectors that sector manager manages, and I think the 5 boats were shut down because we were getting too far behind in quota because we weren't generating enough money to meet immediate bills to be able to pay back the boats that we were buying fish from. And I know another guy, he owed $40,000. Another guy owed $10,000, $15,000, and that's what. And the other boats that aren't struggling, well, they're struggling, but they have boat owners that have money to buy that stuff. So that's. I mean, it's a really difficult situation. And, I've really tried hard this year. I've been normally do like 2 trips a month. I've been doing 3 to 4 trips a month, and I still. We've had lousy weather, and a lot of the fish I work on, I can't throw it back. I have to bring it in. I lose money on it. It costs me more money to buy it than what I get in the auction for it. If I can sell here in Nantucket, I can ask for a little more money, and I can make money on that. You know, because I can ask, like cod, I ask $4 a pound, and it usually costs me $3, so I can make $1 on that. But in the auction, I rarely get $3 for it. Usually lost. I've seen my crew lose up to $400 on their share is gone, less than would have if we hadn't. I had a negative loss on cod, graceful, and dabs, and because of that, their share was reduced by, one time it was $200, another time it was $400 than what they should have gotten. You know, their share got reduced, so it's really tough. You know, the National Marine Fisheries Service is saying how great it was. Codfish are coming back. The groundfish in general is coming back. Halibut have come back. Monkfish are driven the price from like $3.50, $4 a pound down to $1 a pound because there's so much of it around. The fish are coming back. It's cod. My problem is where to go fishing to avoid it. We never had before. You used to fish to maximize your toes, you know, and now it's, you know, you think, where can I need to catch lobsters. I can't catch codfish. I've been told not to bring any codfish in. You know, if I don't have an observer, I'm supposed to throw it away. And you can't tell National Marine Fisheries that because it's a huge fine. And I haven't thrown any fish back, but I'm also got in trouble because I didn't. But it's really difficult to avoid. I have to avoid certain things and try to catch others, and it's really tough. So I stuck it out. I didn't ever expect it would get to this. We've had 4 years the fish have been coming back, and this will be the first time they've begun to increase us. You know, so as the fish were increasing, the landings we were allowed to have was dropping. So it created a problem. I mean, that's why the codfather did what he did, was because the other boats are shoveling thousands of pounds of cod over the side, and he did it with dabs. But the tremendous temptation, your observer's not on board, so nobody's looking. You shovel stuff away because you got to bring in the right stuff you can make money on, and the dabs are worth $4 a pound, and you got to throw them away. You don't think a person doesn't cross their mind if they could bring it in illegally and sell it under the table. That's what he was doing. But the groundfish is increasing. We never had halibut before. Now, most of the ones I catch are all 36 inches now this year. I don't know. They're all within 2 or 3 inches. But let's say I had I was at 4 toes. I had probably 200-300 pounds of halibut. I mean, it's like we're back in 1900 when the halibut were here. I don't know, maybe it's like a 100-year cycle, I think, on groundfish. But that's an interesting thing. I look at all the pictures here, and there's one picture they're missing, because during like 1910, 1920, 1930, up to about 1950, this was a big dragging port. There was a lot of draggers here, and all that history is gone. It's sad, you know. And my wife wants to write down all my stories, but it really should, you know, because I mean there's a whole segment of history here that of Nantucket that's gone, you know, and it was a big thing. New Bedford got his inherited New Bedford's whaling, but it also it was the groundfish fleet that left here and went to New Bedford, the same thing, you know, and this was a big dragging port, and it's always been a seaport, and
when Bill began his presentation a few meetings ago, he mentioned something that's left me curious, and Sheila, maybe you can help me with this. When a big project's to take place, like the Jetties project, that was, Army Corps of Engineers, or maybe dredging, harbor maintenance, like that. When state or federal funds are brought in to do something like that, do they do a study of how much commercial activity versus recreational is done out of the harbor? Is there a difference on how they approve the project or how much they will contribute towards the project if there's commercial activity out of the harbor versus the harbor being solely recreational?
Well, we're always covered by that because the ferry traffic, fuel barges and things like that. So commercially, we're always covered. Unfortunately, they don't ask much about the commercial fishing because we have the need to maintain things the way they are so we can have our lifeline in the ferry service coming back and forth. I guess for work on the town pier, they do ask us about commercial fishing vessels. Like if we put in for a grant or something like that, they ask us how many are tied up there. But in that, we can count the charter boat guys because they're commercial. You know, they very rarely ask about draggers. I think they know. I think we've answered the question so many times. But
you're also a harbor refuge, aren't you? Are you?
yeah, we are.
So that's gonna. I was just thinking about that. That would make it very
It's not a
important.
very good refuge in the
Well,
Northeast, but it
well.
doesn't count. Yeah, we are considered a safe
Right.
haven.
To back up just a bit, is it true that the Coast Guard brought their boats over to Woods Hole? And then more on,
They're back. They came
Yes.
next morning.
yes. I'm just wondering, you know, as Bill just mentioned, like a safe harbor, you know, when aside from Northeast, also having an astronomical tide, and if the decking of the docks is underwater, you put out a notice that the town pier was closed. Does the boat basin do that at a certain point also?
Yeah, they do. They did not this last storm, but they do. And the Coast Guard put out a broadcast saying that their boats were moved, relocated to Woods Hole for heavy weather coverage.
I'm going to back up a little bit again. I was back and forth 3 times between Sunday and yesterday, and it was hard to catch the only boats that went, but I was able to do it. And I noticed the Nautical Lady had moved from where it was tied up in Hyannis by the launching ramp over to where the fishing boats tie up. And, you know, you've enlightened us of your workload that'll be before you between now and summer, and just wondering if any proactive precautionary measures have taken place.
Yeah, he
Yeah. I was talking to a couple of scallopers also that noticed this was before this most recent storm, that the ball that's marking his anchor is half submerged, maybe have a leak, it's filling up with water. I just thought I'd run that by you.
If I get out there, I'll change the ball around. Or I just ask Flavia to pull it out for us.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows. From what I understand, he's selling the boat.
Okay. Any more questions, comments from the board? We'll move on to new business. Peter was able to attend a meeting called by Janet Schulte. Okay. Having to do with public outreach in relation to the January harbor sewage discharge. Take it away, Peter, if you would, please.
Oh, okay. It was myself, Janet Schulte, Caitlin Shaw from the Natural Resources Department, and there was one other person. Oh, Roberto Santa Maria Health Department, head of the health department. And the meeting was called to just get ideas on how to spin the sewage effect on the harbor, and so we generated these notes on. It's basically, I'll just read it. The issue is to preserve the quality of the Nantucket brand of shellfish and to promote the integrity of that quality to different audiences. I forgot Emma Adair from Shellfish Association. She was there as well. So different audiences will require different types of communication outreach. Then how do we deliver the message, and then the media to employ. So if anybody wants a copy of it, I got it down here. But and also the next meeting, I'm sure that anybody on the board who wants to go, or anybody in this room for that matter, could go and offer. But I think, what came out of it was we need to get the restaurant. Well, of course we need the harbor to be open so that people can harvest shellfish. But we need to, once that's done, then restaurants need to be serving it, and there needs to be some sort of way through the media to get it out to the broader audience. And that would probably include a short, spot that you would see at the Dreamland before the movies. It might be ads on the radio or on NPR. It's essentially to say, when it's safe to say it, that the water's fine, it's okay to eat shellfish, everything's good, and how do we say it without, trying too hard, I guess is what we were sort of talking about.
Questions, comments? Matt?
Was the meeting called for a specific reason? I actually have a couple of comments.
Actually, I think the meeting was called because 2.7 million gallons of sewage went into the harbor as a result of that storm, and the specific reason, Nat alluded to, was how do we say that our scallops and our quahogs and our oysters and whatever else people get from Nantucket is okay? How do we get that back into the mainstream of we really want those products? We learned from who was saying this? I think Emma was saying that the wholesaler, the scallopers with wholesalers' licenses, were just marketing their scallops since then as scallops from Nantucket, as were fish stores off island scallops from bay scallops, and not necessarily saying they were from Nantucket. So people are gun shy. So, the Nantucket brand of bay scallop is tarnished by this. And the purpose of the meeting was to to sort of generate ways to tell people, no, they're fine. So, I'll give you one of these. Show you what we did.
Yeah, I guess, I had gone to an NSA meeting, this was one before the one that was just the other night, and the discussion at that meeting was, that was fairly fresh after the spill, and we were talking about, potential damage control, but this was before it was really acknowledged by at least people who had attended that meeting that there was a perception problem that we were having with the bay scallops. Part of the discussion during that meeting over a month ago was, do we do something in the interim to build confidence in the fact that we're approaching the sewage spill with an abundance of caution. And I was even talking to Mary about, should there have been a mechanism in place, or should there be a mechanism in place in the future where the fishermen themselves or the buyers voluntarily hold scallops off of the market until some kind of a message can be delivered that we've taken this voluntary step, even though according to the state we're allowed to move forward and sell bay scallops, but we're not going to, because we want to make sure that we've heard from more than one person or more than one water test that says that it's okay, just because of that perception. So I guess what I'm hearing here is that the situation has gotten worse, because at that meeting I had asked specifically if there was a decrease in demand for Nantucket bay scallops, and the people who were at the meeting, the fishermen, said that there wasn't, and I guess at that time the price was up to $15 a pound.
Well, it's not, it's not, I don't think the situation has gotten worse. I just think that it took a while for the news to break on Janet's shores, and Janet is the new first ever director for the town of tourism and culture, and so she's thinking she's going to get ahead of it and try to come up with a message. Maybe the message won't even be needed, but she wants to make sure that if it's perceived by all the right people in the community that the message should go out there, then there'll be something to you'll be able to flick a switch or whatever. There'll be brochures and ads and a little short film or whatever, just to, I guess the whole thing is just to instill confidence in the consumers. And in terms of water quality testing, that was one aspect, but then we were thinking about, is it possible to test the byproduct of the scallop after it's been shucked, go into a barrel where the guts and everything are, and take a sample and see if there's elevated counts of poop in the guts, to say that, yes, it's a danger because sorry.
I was just curious where we had gone. I mean, I hadn't been involved in really talking much, but I did hear one interesting thing, because I know a month ago, right after that big freeze and right after the sewage spill, amongst the fishermen, people were saying, there's a lot of scallops out there to be caught, and there aren't a lot of boats to catch them. And I was actually pretty surprised that nobody came to this board to ask for a bushel increase for the fishermen that were out fishing, because the resource would sustain that right now. And then we could have been doing that for quite some time. And then when I asked if anybody had come to this board to ask, somebody said no, because the buyers had told us they don't want any more scallops because they're having a hard time selling them.
Huh.
And that's when I found out that the price had gone down to 11. So I was like, oh my God, something has really happened in the last 4 weeks. Because that's something I've never heard of before, is that with the small amount of boats that have been fishing this year and the high amount of scallops that are out there, that you wouldn't be able to sell an extra bushel of scallops when there's only 20 boats going. So that seems to me to be kind of a problem in the perception
Yeah.
of the quality of the fishery. I was just kind of curious where we were at. So I'm glad to see that you guys talked about it yesterday.
Well, I don't think my perception and what I saw at the meeting, I don't think anybody, based on what you just said, I don't think anybody thinks that things are worse. I just think that she thought to call the meeting in reaction to what was going on at the time. And it's in the best interest of the town to put on a brave face or a positive face or whatever and say everything's good. And so I think one of my suggestions was you might have photos or video of people digging clams at Cascada or wherever when when people go out, when it's warm enough to go out and dig at low tide, going up to the, it's usually like May, leading up to June 15th when the soft shell clam season ends, that you start seeing lots of people going out, not just fishermen, but the average person knowing that they can do it. So we were thinking that was a thing that people should, if there was a way that you could, once the all clear was given, if there was a way that to let people know that, hey, it's all right, you can go out, you're not going to, end up in the bathroom, you're going to be fine.
So you guys are talking almost like, getting this out to the people that will be coming for the summer season.
Right. Right, and having it available because the best ambassadors for Nantucket are the people that live here first, and then the people who come here and they go elsewhere and say Nantucket rocks because X, Y, Z. So, and oh, by the way, the shellfish are fine. So,
Matt, maybe to settle a little bit of confusion for whatever it's worth, like I said earlier, first of all, I think the bad news just hasn't been counteracted with some good news, so the bad news is lingering. It's kind of like almost like a bad rumor. Jeff Carlson put it well at his last meeting here that it's comparable to a teaspoon in a bathtub. Really, of the spill that took place, and it couldn't have happened at a better time as far as temperatures go. Good flow out through the jetties, but in talking with several scallopers at their shanties, it sounds like the exploiting of our issue here by other towns to their advantage to be able to sell their product that they're fortunate enough to have this year has been taking place. And I also heard it from a supplier or a dealer, a retailer, wholesaler, and to move forward to as far as the quantity that's out there, I thought that we would get a request for a bushel increase and thought that would be a good idea to try to fish out more of the stock before it simply dies of old age. But there was one dealer who mentioned that maybe it's better to let them lie and filter water as they do naturally. So there's two ways to look at this I guess, and in talking with some fishermen about the bushel increase, they seem to feel that just leaving it where it is was good, and there was one dealer also who asked a couple of fishermen not to bring in a double limit so often. Whether that had to do with the Nantucket Bay scallop not selling as well as others because of the spill, or whether the demand just simply isn't there, was not able to attach that description to the reason. So I think we're very fortunate to have had a wonderful season, an abundant crop. But Nantucket, I feel, already does a lot by opening 2 weeks later than others. We make sure our waters are cooler. I was just recently given a half a pound of scallops from Bruce Cowan. I was amazed at how fresh, firm, and delicious they were. And they're out of Nantucket Harbor, not Nantucket. They're wonderful looking for this time of year. Nothing was slunky looking whatsoever on that bench in that shanty. So I'm proud to say we've never had to exploit any other town's misfortunes. We've certainly tried our hardest to promote the Nantucket Bay scallop, but never to the detriment of another town. And it's a matter of, if Janet's going to meet again and the Shellfish Association would like to, I believe, get involved with some comments and some outreach, and hopefully, that happens sooner than later.
Just one point of clarification. I wasn't saying that the water quality was getting worse.
No.
I was just saying what's the perception of the product.
Yeah.
Because I know that the water is fine. So that's not what I was
No.
I've always been concerned about the perception, regardless of what the actual facts are on the ground about the water quality. Because that's what everybody seems to run with these days, is what they think and not what's actually going on. So, it's just unfortunate that you have to counter smears and stuff like that.
Matt, your input is always appreciated here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill?
My experience in the past is quite often when the buyers are saying Chatham's loaded with them, or Peconic Bay has them, or whatever, that it hasn't always been true. And there's a lot of ploys that the buyers have used to keep the price down. When I heard that they'd gone back to 11, that's the first thing that crossed my mind. I hope it's not true, but quite often it has been. It's sad because I know, Tara, you do a lot of work, and they've been really successful in seeding program and everything. And when you see scallops going for $40, $50 a pound on the other side, and the guys are only getting $11 here, that's an insult to you. I'm sorry. When maintaining a fishery, this is one of the things you need to do. There's got to be some money. It's got to get back to the fishermen too, and they're very easy to be taken advantage of. And I think that's one thing that perhaps could be done, is that to see the fishermen get a bigger chunk of the money rather than all going to the buyers. That would be a huge shot in the arm for the fishery here. I don't know how you're going to do it, but it's something that really needs to be done, I think. Quite often I've seen the buyers making more money than they're paying the fishermen in their profit, and that's not right. Because the fisherman has the risk and all the work. He hires people, has 4 or 5 employees, and whatever. Something that I think is wrong.
Public questions or comment? Mark, if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce you. This is Mark Anderwald. He's pulled papers. He'll be on the ballot running for one of the 2 seats available here on SHAB this year, along with myself and Ginger Andrews. So everybody get out there and vote. Thanks for pulling the papers and being here, Mark. Anything you'd like to add while you're here?
Checking it out.
You're still involved in the restaurant industry here? And you must be concerned about keeping our water quality at a good level and farming good shellfish from right here. You serve them, you like to serve local shellfish in the restaurants you work at? Thanks, Mark. Sheila, please, if you wish. Thank you so much for sticking around, and thank you for your report. Items, recap, next meeting, comments, questions? Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.